Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Encore episode. Today, it's episode 111, 1098, a Sesame Street Top 10 Countdown. And if last week's Encore of episode 110, where we talked all about our love of Sesame Street and just how amazing it was, if that didn't just get you in all the feels, today's definitely will. Because today is the episode where we crowdsourced our listeners and asked them, which was your favorite Sesame Street skit? You know, the skits like Rubber Ducky and Mahna Mahna, Mahna Mahna, Ladybug Picnic, Grover screaming far, and he goes like this. You know, he runs.
When you started to say that, it was like, far. I know. That's what I was like, I missed that episode.
No, he goes like this.
Skit.
No, Grover goes like this. Far.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you hear near. Anyway, and as we like to do, we put them in a top 10 list. And one of our favorites is a skit that we just mentioned, I don't know, a month or so ago when we had our fun conversation about a lot of our social media posts that weirdly have just taken off. And that was the King of 8. And as of today, 20,000 likes, 9,000 shares, because I think people are just craving this old content and this old comfort from their childhoods. And King of 8 is so cute. And then just, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, we shared that the little conversation between Kermit and that little darling girl named Joey. They're trying to sing the ABCs and Joey keeps saying Cookie Monster. And then they laugh and Kermit laughs. And again, that skyrocketed. What is it? What is it right now?
I think that it's something we're craving. It's stuff we've talked about ongoing throughout this podcast journey. It hits a part of us and makes us feel some comfort in a time when things are a little bit rocky, and it makes us, connect with our younger selves as well as
with each other.
Yes,
and each other right now.
100%. Yeah.
And we're also looking at a style of, we talked last week about creativity and how Sesame Street may have been an inspiration for many people to go into creative fields. And so the King of 8 in particular is like, it's live action, stop motion. It's very old school. And I think creativity for children, like the things that we put in front of children nowadays, there's been this push to make it seem more and more realistic until you can't figure out if it's real or if it's not. And I liked it when it was very clear that it wasn't real.
Yes.
Well, and I think it's also the simplicity and the repetitiveness of these songs. So, I mean, think about like Rubber Ducky or Ladybug Picnic. They're nostalgic for us. And in a time right now where it's very divisive, those songs do connect us.
They do.
And really, whether or not we want to be connected with others right now, I know, speaking for me personally, and I think for you all as well, regardless of if we want to be connected, there's comfort in knowing that we are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's grounding. It's very grounding.
I also, sometimes it makes me a little sad to know that those messages that I felt like we were all getting at the exact same time from Sesame Street, just about kindness and understanding and empathy and diversity, all of those things, emotions. Some of us maybe clung to those a little bit more than others. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's like we all watched that. And why aren't we all leaning into that
I know.
today? Yeah. That rocks my boat a little bit. Our job is to peel back those layers and remind everyone, there was a time.
Exactly. And our job is just to keep talking about it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing that I think is shaking you, Carolyn, because there was a time when we all agreed that being kind and compassionate and understanding was good. It was in the good column.
Yes.
And it's weird when other people don't see it that way. You're like, I thought this was universal. Like,
right. Yeah.
Is this what they taught you in
Oscar
Sunday
the Grouch
school?
is. Yeah. Even Oscar the Grouch could be kind.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Well, he could, and everybody was
wormy.
kind to Oscar. Like, they got it that he maybe had a rough childhood, and, who
know.
knows? But
He
they
lived in a
were
garbage
empathetic
can.
to
Yeah.
Oscar. Yeah, exactly. They didn't, make fun of him or chastise him.
Well,
or anything.
I think all of these skits are so needed today. And I think that, just like we've been talking a lot about the Free to Be You and Me, isn't it just kind of depressing, but also really wonderful that these messages are still around.
Mm-hmm. And that we're ingesting them. That sounds weird. That we're absorbing them as adults. It doesn't end in childhood. We don't stop learning about being a good person and how to treat each other after you turn 10.
Right.
We need reminders. Right. And to your point, Michelle, these are balms. And if you're having a tough day, I guarantee you that you will feel better if you go to YouTube and you bring up some of these skits from Sesame Street. You will, because those are in your heart and they're in your souls and they're in your
they're
cells.
In your cells.
Yeah, they are. They're in your cells.
Jinx, you owe me a soda. Or just listen today to this encore of episode 111, because not only are you going to get a heavy dose of all this balm and this wonderfulness, you're also going to get a little bit of a debate about Ernie's nipples. And who doesn't want that? Right. So enjoy episode 111, 1098, a Sesame Street Top 10 Countdown.
Did you know that the Pop Culture Preservation Society is on Patreon? Patreon allows you to support our work by becoming dues-paying members of our society. We are an independent, women-run endeavor with a commitment to delivering the highest quality listening experience to our community. And so we've taught ourselves how to record, edit, and produce a podcast in midlife, a time when most of us are asking our kids how to regram a TikTok, so that we can deliver episodes that truly speak to you. Support from PCPS patrons means that we can devote more of our time and resources to the content, sources, equipment, software, hosting, and research that you've come to depend on, without worrying about how to pay the bills. So thank you. We appreciate you from the bottom of our bell-bottomed hearts. In my mind, I remember him having little nipples.
Did
I
he?
think he did. I think it's just brown felt.
Oh, let's look that up.
The bubbles come up pretty high on him.
Do they? Okay, so I'm imagining Ernie's nipples then. I was not thinking about like Muppet
Kristen's
wieners.
first
I wasn't
fantasies.
thinking about below the water. Yeah.
Hello world is a song that we're singing. Come on, get happy. A whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Welcome to the Pop Culture Preservation Society, the podcast for people born in the big wheel generation who all believed they'd die by quicksand.
We believe our Gen X childhoods gave us unforgettable songs, stories, characters, and images. And if we don't talk about them, they'll disappear, like Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition.
And today, we are saving the best animations, videos, and skits from our generation's Sesame Street, as determined by you and us, in a countdown of our top 10 Sesame Street favorites.
I'm Carolyn.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Michelle, and we are your pop culture preservationists. Okay, you guys, I'm going to try something. Listeners, and Carolyn and Kristen, just see if you can join in with me if all I sing is this. Mahna Mahna.
Do 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 do.
Mahna Mahna.
Do 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 do.
Mahna Mahna.
Do 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 do. That was my favorite part.
Oh, God.
When he just
Excellent
goes off
job,
the rails.
everyone.
Right.
The point of this is that all of us in this generation, and these past 2 weeks, we've been calling ourselves the Sesame Street generation. We are all bonded by these indelible skits, animations, videos, and songs from the OG Sesame Street. They have all lived rent-free in our heads for about 40 or 50 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Still to this day, when I open thanks, Carolyn.
That's more than 30 years.
Still to this day, when I open a cupboard, I might go, abierto. And Mike will go, cerrado. It's like 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. Yeah. That made a lifelong impact on two people who grew up in two completely different areas of the country. Mm-hmm. Abierto.
Yeah.
Cerrado. It's just an orange guy trying to open a blue box.
But also, I'd forgotten all about that one. And now when you just said that, I knew I could picture it exactly in my head.
We all know how to speak Spanish, thanks to Sesame Street. We know what open and close is, but that's what I've got.
It's all lived there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can still see the still image of the mad painter with his paint can and his brush. And I just know if I just see a still image of it, I know what's about to happen. I know he's about to go paint a number on something he's not supposed to, like a tablecloth or a sail or someone's sleeping face, right? Or if I see,
I love how he made fours. I don't know why I was so fascinated with the four.
He made the numbers perfectly. Like he could paint the number 2 perfectly on someone's sleeping face. Like I can picture the man, he was in a floating raft in the pool, I believe. And he would just the painter would just appear out of the water. He would just paint his face. Remember that? He would just appear.
And the paintbrush, the paintbrush made the lines so perfectly. I guess you just said that, but I can't stop talking about it because I love it.
It was perfect. Or if I just see a still image of Kermit and he's dressed in his trench coat, I know there's something awry with a fairy tale, and he's reporting on it for the Sesame Street News, because those were some of my favorite skits that have lived in my head. And do you guys remember the videos of things like how crayons were made, or how aluminum cans were recycled, or how they made chewing gum, or just you could just simply watch a video of them spray painting the numbers or the lines on the highway or a city street? I lived for those videos.
And there were our followers on Instagram. They were also head over heels for these little slice of life kinds of videos. One of our followers on Instagram said she and her sister were desperately trying to track down the video about how sweaters are made and the one with all the sheep, but so far no luck. Someone else loved the film they did with the mailman carrying mail by horse up to people in the mountains. Yes. But the one that people bonded over the most in the comments was the milk song. In a video about how we get milk. I know, you guys, that's how I was too. But you have to go watch it because you go, So I looked it up. Boom. Husker Dude. It's so gentle and lovely with cows and farmers. And it's backed up by this trippy, smooth jazz song called The Milk Song. And at the end, it shows a mom putting milk into her cart at the grocery store. She's a Black woman with a very stylish late 60s hairdo. And I almost screamed.
Yes.
You guys, when she came on the screen, I almost screamed. I knew that mom. I knew the shirt she was wearing. I knew the earrings she was wearing. I recognized the bottle of milk in her hands. It was all so familiar. But what people in the comments loved the most was the song. And Bettina Reith said, I used to be a cafeteria lady. When we would restock the little cartons of milk, we would sing, milk, milk, milk. Because that's how the song goes. Milk, milk, milk. And she was not the only one. There were so many people who were trying to type how they sang that weird little milk song.
I'm going to go look it up. Maybe we should put it in the Weekly Reader. We'll see.
I think we should definitely put it in the Weekly Reader.
But that's what I loved about those videos. It would show you the whole process. And then at the end, you would see someone put the piece of chewing gum in their mouth, or you would then see how it got to you. I thought that was magic. Yeah. Well, there are countless videos and Muppet skits that played over and over again. And sometimes they're the exact same one, like the Ladybug Picnic or that pinball machine. But sometimes, like in the case of the Mad Painter or the animated typewriter, that he wheels himself out and he takes his little hamburger helper hands and he types one letter.
Yes, it is the hamburger helper.
He types one letter, maybe he types an A and then a big airplane zooms by or something. Or maybe it was a recurring bit between Kermit and Grover, the ones that frustrated Kermit to hell and back. But those ones sometimes change depending on the letter or the concept or the number that was being taught that week, but we still recognized them.
Yeah.
Right?
We did.
Mm-hmm. That's what made this show, I think, so successful, was the repetitiveness.
Yeah. Yeah, we did not mind seeing the milk song over and over and over again. We're like, when are they going to play the milk song? It was sort of like watching MTV. When are they going to play Thriller?
It totally was. Yeah. And we all had, as this whole episode is about, we all had our favorites. So even as a 4 or 5 year old child, I had enough, I would sit there enough and be like, oh, it's this one, it's the typewriter again.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But if it's here come the ladybugs, and I could sing along with it, or we all had things that just spoke to us more than others. And it's been different for all of us, as evidenced by this list we're about to share with you. But that's what was just so fun. It was just such a show for us that it was like a variety show kind of, right?
Yeah. They were wizards. They were child wizards.
Child wizards.
Cut that. I don't know what the hell that means. So when we posted on social media and asked our listeners to tell us which of these was their most memorable, the response was huge. So once again, I put on my visor and got out my adding machine. I don't know why you need to wear a visor when you do math, but you do.
It's kind of clear. Is yours like clear, maybe clear green?
Yeah, it's clear. That's my math visor.
Yeah, good.
And there's a band around my arm, too. I don't know what that is for.
Of course.
Yeah, it's for doing math.
All of a sudden, you're like a dealer at a casino.
Does that involve math? I don't know. So I did lots and lots of math. And Carolyn and Michelle and I also contributed our most memorable bits, and things were weighted and given values, and I had to carry and borrow, which I don't even think is a thing anymore.
Well, it should be.
I think it's gone. I don't think our kids know how to carry and borrow.
No. Oh, no.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. And then voila, I've come up with the top 10 PCPS Sesame Street favorites.
A 1 and a 2 and a chick-a-boom a chick.
And there were so many nominations, and all of your favorites deserve to be heard. And so if you stay tuned after the outro, at the end of this episode, I will read a list of all the vote getters that didn't make it into the top 10, but still nonetheless deserve to be recognized. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm like, I'll make a list. But that's when I thought there were 25 comments.
Yeah. No.
Like
there was 25 comments in the first 3 minutes on that crowdsourcing
I know.
post.
I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing? Okay, drum roll, please. In the number 10 spot, we have the Alligator King. I love the Alligator King.
I had forgotten about it.
I had forgotten about all of these, basically. Except with just a handful, I had forgotten about these until you see the animation and you go, oh, I know that guy. So the song tells the story. This is from 1971, and it's about the number 7. The song tells the story of an alligator king who is feeling mighty down and offers his crown to whichever of his 7 sons can cheer him up.
Said the alligator king to his 7 sons, I'm feeling mighty down. Whichever of you can cheer me up will get to wear my crown.
The first 6 princes bring their father luxurious gifts that all seem to go awry in some way, like 7 oyster pearls that get stuck on his alligator claws, and 7 rubies that he thinks are cherries, and he puts them in his mouth and he breaks all his teeth. And then this was my favorite one, 7 diamond rings that he puts on his foot claws. The memory of the foot claws.
Yeah.
It's just burned in my brain.
Just you saying it. I haven't watched it. Just you saying it now. I'm like going, yes.
I know, right? You just totally forgot about it. It's the most joyous feeling. So unfortunately, those diamond rings on his foot claws, they make him trip and he falls down. And then the 7th son comes in. He's empty-handed, but he sees that his father needs help. And this is where they insert into the song a little boy's voice being like, hello, father, it looks like you need some help. And then he helps his dad up. And this is the son who wins the crown. It's, like I said, it's the animation that is so familiar to me. This was produced by Bud Lucky. The music was performed by a jazz musician named Turk Murphy. And then Lucky played the banjo. So this is just so folksy. It's so 1970. I can hardly stand it. That was the Alligator King. That's our number 10.
Number 10. All right. Well, coming in at number 9, which I was kind of surprised it wasn't higher, but that's okay. At number 9, we have one of my favorites, Rubber Ducky. Written in 1970 by Jeff Moss, it appeared in the very first season of Sesame Street, and it's Ernie's signature song. It is a tribute to his beloved Rubber Ducky. It was actually released out on the radio and stuff, and
I didn't know that.
Yes, it charted number 16 on Billboard's Hot 100 singles in 1970.
I did not know that. Rubber Ducky is a hit.
If today, a song from I don't know, what are the Bluey?
Paw Patrol.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, the Bluey. Bluey was on the Billboard Top 100.
Isn't it sad that we have trouble naming a children's show? I mean, that just shows you where we are in our lives.
Yeah.
Well, and then they watch so many streaming ones. They're not even ones we would have any exposure to whatsoever.
I wouldn't know how to parent today.
I would have no idea. Thank you for saying that. I would have no idea.
But besides the song, I remember, and this might sound a little odd, but, Ernie would be in his bathtub. And Ernie wouldn't have a shirt on. Ernie,
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
I know. It was just, I mean, I was amazed. And I was wondering, I would wonder what was underneath the bubbles too. Like, was this a naked puppet? Like, there was a little bit of, I don't know, some tantalizing aspect to it. And that
it was naughty, kind of like, wait, why is Ernie in the? But the funny thing is, it's so kind of gross now to think what was under the bubbles. It was just some guy's hand stuck up Ernie.
Not a felt
Did we
penis.
even?
That's
That's a great point. I don't think I knew there was someone's hand under there. At least when I first started watching. It wasn't until later I have vague memories of watching it with my sister and trying to catch a hand coming up. Like, could I ever see like the human hand underneath one of the puppets? Like, that would be a really sneaky thing.
I think I was in denial. I was not looking for the hand. I certainly didn't know anything about the hand until I was probably over 8. And I was
for
just
sure,
like,
yeah.
I'm looking away. I'm not going to accept this.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was probably spoiling it for my sister. I got a lot of joy out of being mean to my sister. So I'm sorry, Ronnie.
Thank you so much, though, for that memory, because when you just said when Ernie was in the bathtub, 100% I relate to that. I relate to, it wasn't like as much tantalizing to me, but it was like, what's under the bubbles? Like, what I would try to imagine what his fur, like what his body, like, does he have a little orange butt? Does he, and it reminds me of a funny story that's just like family lore. Sorry, everyone, you're going to get one of those. Guess what my daughter said when she was little stories. But when my older daughter was little, like maybe 2.5, I was trying to potty train her. And she was sitting on the toilet and she was just thoughtful, so thoughtful. And she looked at me and she's like, Mommy. I was like, yeah. She goes, when Elmo goes potty, does his fur get wet?
Oh, of course it does.
And it's just one of those that I was like, you wanted to laugh, but I was like,
yes.
Wow, I've never thought of it. Well, he probably wipes it and, gets it dry, just like, but that's what she was just sitting there on the toilet and just thinking so hard, thinking about Elmo when he goes potty. But that's how I would get about Ernie in the bathtub, because it was the only time you saw him without his shirt.
Right.
And I don't know if I'm making this up, but when you said he didn't have a shirt on, I immediately went, nipples. Because in my mind, I remember him having little nipples. I don't think he did. I think it's just brown felt.
Oh, let's look that up.
The bubbles come up pretty high on him.
Do they? Okay, so I'm imagining Ernie's nipples then. I was not thinking about like Muppet
Kristen's
wieners.
first
I wasn't
fantasies.
thinking about below the water. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a person. I thought he was real. I thought that he's all the way on there. Not in a tantalizing weird way, just like he's like me. And,
you guys might think how
body.
cute Ernie's little butt would be.
It would be
Be so cute. Little felt butt sitting on the bathtub and his little legs sticking out straight.
So cute.
Oh, Rubber Ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. Rubber Ducky, I'm awfully fond of you.
In our number 8 spot, we have, drumroll please, the aliens discover the telephone. You guys, this was my number 1. And I can't believe it's at number 8 because this is my number 1. I love the aliens. And so you have these 2 fuzzy aliens, right, who are terrified of things like clocks and books and telephones, and they're best known for their language. They go, yip, 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 nope, nope, nope. Oh, and when they get scared, they hide underneath their lower lip, which shoots up to cover their face. So their lip is up by their eyeballs on top of their head. So they have a book that they will consult about these earthly things. They'll go book, and they open, but the book doesn't help because they can't follow the line of thought. So like they think they're consulting the book about a grandfather clock, and they think the grandfather clock is a person because the book says that people are tall and they have faces and they have hands, and they're like, gong. Right. It's just so funny. So when the aliens come across a telephone, and they're very curious and they say hello to it, but the telephone doesn't do anything. So then they try mooing at it. And then they meow, and their lips are really big, and they scoop out wide, and they go meow, looking at the telephone, waiting for it to respond, but nothing. But then the phone rings, and they get very excited, and they go, bring. And they start imitating the telephone, and all is right with the world. Oh my God.
Oh. Bring. Yip, 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 yip.
Well, coming in at number 7 is a huge surprise to me that it's not higher on our list. But coming in at number 7 is Mahna Mahna. Do, 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 do. Mahna Mahna. Do, 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 do. So did you know that Mahna Mahna is actually the name of the purple Muppet with the wild orange hair and that furry green kind of beatnik looking tunic?
Oh,
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's actually what they called him. He had some other names in the past, but for the most part, it's Mahna Mahna. He was sometimes referred to as Harry. But an early version of this sketch first appeared on Sesame Street on November 27th, 1969, just 17 days after Sesame Street premiered. But it was an appearance of Jim Henson and his Muppets on the Ed Sullivan Show on November 30th that same year, doing Mahna Mahna, that cemented the song's fame. It just went crazy. Everybody couldn't get enough of it. The first version, the one from the late 60s and early 70s, this is the one I'm most familiar with. It's the 2 little girl puppets, and they're just trying to sing the song. Okay, let's sing a song. Should we sing a song? Okay. Do, 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 do. And then here he comes. Mahna Mahna. Do. And they kind of look like they're surprised, but they're like, okay. Do, 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 do. You know, and he just kind of walks around, and then he like runs back, and he runs forward. And actually, interesting fact, but Mahna Mahna comes in, and everyone just kind of sings together. And at the end, the girls just kind of wander off. Everyone's just kind of okay with it. The version that appeared on the very first episode of The Muppet Show in 1976, and this episode was the one with Juliet Prowse, the girls are replaced by these monsters called the Snoths, which is a combination of snout and mouth. It's this bright pink monster. And Mahna Mahna in this version by 1976 is a lot more crazed, and the Snoths are a lot more aggravated at him. And it's very funny to watch how aggravated they get because he's just kind of losing his mind with the Mahna Mahnas, you know. So there's 2 versions that you should look up, and they're both pretty funny.
Mahna Mahna. Mahna Mahna. Mahna Mahna.
Fun fact, did you know that this song originally appeared in a steamy film about Swedish sexuality?
Wait,
The
what are you
actual
talking
song.
about?
Yep. It was written by, I forgot, I didn't write it down, but it was an actual song, and it originally appeared in a racy Italian film called Svezia, Inferno e Paradiso. I don't know if I said that right. It means Sweden, heaven and hell. And there's a scene where a bunch of Swedish models crowd into a sauna, and they're just wearing bath towels. If you just search Mahna Mahna, though, if you're on the Muppet Wiki fandom, it gives you all the different versions of Mahna Mahna, and it gives you this. And in the background, you hear it. It's going do 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 ba ba da do 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 ba ba do do. It's not the Mahna Mahna. It's just the.
It's like the original Boom Chicka Wow Wow.
So, you guys, I'm definitely putting in a link to this fun article that I got this was not on the Muppet Wiki .fandom, whatever it is. This was, I think it was Mahna Mahna turns 50. It was just this fun article I found online, and I'm going to definitely put a link to that in this week's weekly reader because there is a lot more fun facts about this song. We just don't have time today. And really links to some really fun YouTube versions, including one from the UK version of The Office, where the cat on The Office, they were singing it, and another really cute one with Sandra Bullock from a show called Muppets Tonight in the 2000s, where she's doing a version of it. So
it'll
I'll put a
never
link to that.
die. It'll never die because it's the funniest thing that's ever been produced. Let's just be honest.
Right. Well, and that's, like we said at the very beginning, that's just one of those things for our age mates that you can just walk up and say to anyone. I challenge you to, we always say if you need an icebreaker at a cocktail party, say like, what's your favorite Brady Bunch episode or what was your first concert? How about this one? Just walk up to someone and go, Mahna Mahna.
They'll
see what
either
they
love
do.
you or run away. And then
See
you'll
if
know.
they go,
you'll know right away.
Or yes.
That's your vetting process. Yeah.
Are
We'll
you
be
my
friends?
people?
We won't be friends.
I have a little story that just came to me as you were singing it and when you talked about it being on the Muppet Show. Because for some reason, there was always a part of me, and it makes sense now, that kind of didn't really like that song. It gave me a weird feeling. And now I've just put 2 and 2 together. It's
What?
4. Okay, here you go. The Muppet Show would be on like Saturday nights. Maybe it was syndicated, maybe, and it would come on at like 6:30 and before like regular TV. And lots of times my parents would be going out, and we were having a babysitter come. And I didn't like babysitter. I didn't like when my parents went out. I was one of those kids. I didn't like sleeping over places a lot of times, and I didn't like when my parents weren't home. And so lots of times that song, that show would be on, and that song would come on, and it would give me, I can just feel it now, like when you were saying when it would be on the Muppet Show. And I didn't like it because I remembered how I felt when I was watching it when I was a kid, because oftentimes my parents were getting ready to go out and we were just waiting for the babysitter to come over.
Oh, but it goes back, Carolyn, to just what we talked about last week. Music. I mean, it's like science, the way it unlocks just so many different kinds of memories for us. Like that's
and
just
burrows deep.
Amazing. Yeah. Has it ever felt like you're doing everything right, eating healthy, working out, but your energy still crashes, or those wonky mood swings hit out of nowhere?
Oh, yes. But I've got to tell you, Michelle, that has gotten so much better since I have been taking Hormone Harmony. It really does make a difference. And I recently took their free 2-minute quiz. I learned that menopause can have my hormones all out of whack. Hormone Harmony helps to fine-tune my hormonal system, and it helps maintain optimal hormone levels. It's helped with my menopause-related brain fog, my quality of sleep, and really overall well-being. I just feel better. And I also feel good knowing they only use proven science-backed ingredients in all of their herbal formulas. And what's great about the quiz is that it will recommend the best product for you based on your answers and your particular hormonal needs.
Yeah, I love that they actually have a whole line for your gut health, like bloat banisher. Is that TMI? I don't know. If you're ready to start feeling like yourself again, head over to happymammoth.com and take their free 2-minute hormone quiz today to find the ultimate answer to your stubborn hormonal issues. And for a limited time, you can also get 15% off your entire first order with our code PCPS at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code PCPS for 15% off today.
Hello, listeners. Let's pause for just a second. I want to tell you about one of the items I got from my Armoire clothing rental subscription this month. Armoire is a clothing rental membership that helps you build the perfect wardrobe with brands that are high quality, unique, and recommended just for you. All you have to do is take a 5-minute style quiz and select items from your personalized closet. Then the styles show up at your door in as little as 2 days. It's crazy. So I've been having so much fun with my membership, and this month I knocked it out of the park. And it's all because of the orange fuzzy jacket. Because it's not just pants, shirts, and dresses you can rent. You can also get coats and outerwear. And this month I took a risk on something so outlandish, something I would never buy for myself. It's a big, fat, super soft, super cozy, and unbelievably fuzzy jacket that's made of orange fur. And it makes such a statement. And I kid you not, every time I leave the house in my orange fuzzy jacket, I get a compliment from every place I go. I've started calling it my self-esteem jacket. And it's all because I had the freedom to experiment with it without committing to buying it. This is why I love my Armoire membership. Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/PCPS. That's armoire.style, ARMOIRE.style/PCPS to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Number 6. Number 6 is going to warm your heart. In our number 6 spot, we have 2 little dolls.
1, 2, 2 little dolls. 1, 2, 2 little chairs. 2 little dolls, 2 little chairs, 2 little girls and a little dollhouse.
And Annette said in our comment section, 2 Little Dolls was my favorite. It was the 2 little girls playing with the Madame Alexander dolls in the house and the 2 kittens come into the dollhouse and mess everything up. And it's like you can hear, if you could hear words typed on a screen, these would be like joy bouncing off the walls. Like she's so excited to be given the opportunity to talk about 2 little dolls. So this is also known as dollhouse in some instances. And it is a song about the number 2. It's from 1970. It's a live-action film by Jim Henson about 2 girls playing with their dollhouse. And people were really into the Madame Alexander dolls. Do you guys remember these? They were a big deal.
I mean, I bet I had 30. I mean, my mom got us one for every birthday, every Christmas, and my girls too. So I have all the old, I still have all the old ones. And my girls got one for every birthday until they were probably like 16 or something. So we have tubs of them in their original boxes. Yeah. We weren't allowed to play with them. We couldn't play with them.
Their hair was gross.
Yeah, what was the point of dolls you couldn't play with?
Are you kidding? What?
I just didn't like the idea of a doll I couldn't play with.
Well, they're like collectors and they're beautiful. To be honest with you, they were way more for my mom than they were for us.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I think how, Carolyn, you really do not like animals who act like humans and do human things. My version of that is doll hair. I do not like doll hair. It freaks me out. Doll hair, yes. And my memory of Madame Alexander dolls is like the hair is all ratty, and then I'd see the holes in the head. And I didn't like it.
You're thinking of a different doll, I think. The Madame Alexander doll's hair is like beautiful and like so styled, almost with like a little hairnet over it. It's perfect.
I mean, I probably ruined it.
Yeah, you did.
I think that's what happened to me. I think I maybe got one like as a gift, and I immediately was like going to take it out of the box and do something with it. And my mom was like, "No, that's not what you do." And then maybe I never got one after that.
So in the video, 2 little dolls, and with their Madame Alexander dolls that I apparently am afraid of, they show us all the tiny little dollhouse things, like 2 little hats and 2 little plates and 2 little spoons. And oh my God, the little spoons. I was so fascinated with the 2 little spoons. And then eventually 2 cats get into the dollhouse and they knock everything over. And I love it when we learn things from our followers, when they just put things in the comments. And I'm like, is that true? So H. Falk said that dollhouse was actually built by Jim Henson for his daughters. That's his daughter's dollhouse that he built for them.
What?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's such a fun fact.
And the entire film was shot inside his daughter's bedroom, Cheryl and Lisa. So that was Cheryl and Lisa's bedroom. And the cats were owned by the Henson family. Those were Jim Henson's cats let loose in the dollhouse. So Doris, she comments quite a bit on our page. She says, when those 2 naughty kitties barge into the house at the end, it's hilarious. And the 2 little girls being amused rather than upset with the invading cats is so cute. The little electric lights in the dollhouse also wowed me to pieces. And can we talk a minute? This is Doris talking, not me. Can we talk a minute about how progressive it was for that time for the 2 girls to be of different races, a Caucasian girl and an Asian girl? When I got older, I really learned to appreciate and admire that. And she's right. I think Sesame Street would have been the only place we would have seen that.
Okay, coming in at number 5 is something that was very, very high on my list. And number 2, I believe, might have even been tied for number 1. But that is Grover as the waiter. And specifically the one that kept showing up again and again from our Instagram followers is the fly in my soup one. But really, I feel like it could be any of the ones where Grover is the waiter. This is the one that, Kristen, you were even wondering last week about the blue-headed round-headed man with the mustache. So that's Mr. Johnson. And Mr. Johnson is always the customer, and Grover is the waiter at Charlie's restaurant. Grover's always his waiter. And always messes things up. Usually the sketch is teaching a concept, like in the case of the fly in my soup skit, it's teaching in as opposed to near, under, on, next to. You guys, I would get so excited when I see Mr. Johnson sitting at that checkered tablecloth and know the hilarity that was about to ensue for me because I loved Grover. Adorable, furry Grover, your friend, adorable furry Grover, he was always so convinced he was right. And Mr. Johnson would get so increasingly aggravated. And he would usually always end up saying, why do I always come to this restaurant? And as a kid, you're kind of like, exactly. Why? But that's the joy of it, right? That he does. And over the many, many years that this skit recurred, Grover would show up as a worker at Mr. Johnson's vet after a few years, or working at other places Mr. Johnson would go. So they kept this whole shtick going for years and years because I think it was so successful. It was hilarious to me.
Oh, waiter!
Not now, sir! Yes, sir! Waiter at your service, sir!
Waiter, there's a fly in my soup. Could you do something about it?
There is a fly in your soup in this establishment?
Yeah.
I shall do something about it instantaneously, sir.
Do you know what my favorite part of Grover as the waiter is? is the cloth that is over his arm. The little white cloth. He'd hold his arm out.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what that was for at the time, but that signified that he was a waiter.
Yes. But I was rewatching the Fly in My Soup one last night, and it's so funny to watch him carry the soup because it has to probably be someone's hand under there that's not. But you guys, there's soup in the bowl. There's noodle soup in the bowl. They put it on the table and you can see it moving around in the bowl.
You can see it for real?
Kudos to them for the realism. Yeah. Yeah. Because sort of tied for this one, but in the same vein is another one of my favorites was on my list is Grover again, shock, but it's Near and Far. And a lot of people mentioned Near and Far with Grover. Again, our adorable furry little pal Grover. And I'm just going to tell you, the things I loved about this sketch, I'm sure are the things our listeners and our followers loved about this sketch. Has nothing to do with learning the concept of Near and Far, but it's everything about the clip-clop of his shoes as he runs. And the way he just gets so increasingly out of breath. And it's like...
You want to see it one more time? Oh, sure, I'm not doing anything. Okay, this is Near. This is Far.
It is classic repetitive learning, right? But in true Sesame Street fashion, they made it so silly and so adorable that we learned it. You can't help but not understand what Near and Far is at the end of that. And can't you guys just hear and here's what I do now as an adult. I can imagine the person on the side doing the shoes, as, it's so cute. I love it.
Very cute. Well, coming in at number 4 was actually my number 1. And it is the baker in the chef's hat falling down the stairs.
Root beer floats.
2 chocolate pies.
I love it so much.
Well, let me tell you, in my mind, it's a standalone thing, but it's actually a part of a series of a longer segment called the Numerosity Films. Which
I had no idea.
Each film, if you remember, it opened with an animated sequence where kids are counting up to 10. And it's like a kaleidoscope of numbers that are coming at us. And the kids are yelling it. And then, or not yelling it, they're saying
and
it.
That's actually, that animation was very new and cutting edge animation. It was like a spirograph on your TV screen. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they count forward to 10 and then back to 1. And then another animated sequence followed. And children would count to the specific number. And then there'd be other animated numbers kind of zooming around the screen. So what would happen? It'd be go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You'd count backwards. And then you'd know what the number was going to be for this episode. So it'd be 1 or 2 or whatever. And then there were different human characters like jugglers, professors, and they would have objects somewhere in this film. So it might be 4 bananas. And they would count the bananas. And then finally, the baker, we'd call out whatever number it was. So if it was, again, 4, be 4 banana cream pies. And he'd be holding them. And that was actually Jim Henson's voice that was saying that. Alex Stevens was our baker who would tumble down the stairs. Actually a professional stunt performer. At one point was actually the president of the East Coast Stuntmen's Association. And he was good at these pratfalls. Now, our founder of Sesame Street, or our creator, Joan Gans Cooney, did not like the baker's sketch.
Oh, she didn't?
Oh, not at all. She basically said, I don't like it. Very in a flat voice. She's like, I don't like it. Banana peel humor, that's male. Oh. And it's from age 4 on. Younger children, 2-year-olds say they think he's hurt. And then, why does the guy stay? And then she says, this show, meaning this show of falling down the stairs, is definitely male-oriented. And the films were eventually taken off the show for being deemed too violent.
What? Okay, this is very interesting because I don't disagree with her, and yet it's our favorite.
Same. I was going to say that too. As Carolyn's reading that, I'm thinking, oh, that makes kind of sense. But I was thinking, I loved it. It made me laugh
clearly,
so
it came
hard.
in at number, what are we on, number 4? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and it was my
high on a
number
top 10
one.
list.
It's my number one. I got to say, I guess I can see it now. And I probably should
you do like to watch YouTube
be more
videos
evolved.
of people falling down.
I do. Perhaps could it be that the baker falling down the steps was my initiation into enjoying people tripping and falling and sliding?
That was the beginning
Yes,
of it all.
I'm just going to say
Seriously,
yes.
listeners, Carolyn will sit in front of her iPad and watch YouTube videos of people falling down and laugh her ass off.
Her favorite is on ice.
Yes.
Yes, when people fall on ice. That's horrible.
Mark
and John
my
Gans
words.
would say, that's male. That's
And
male
I'm
humor.
probably, as I've said many times, it's probably how I'm going to perish from this earth is I'm going to slip and fall somewhere. It's just
Or
karma.
carrying or carrying trays of cakes and falling down the stairs.
You know what's funny? In the comments, a lot of people thought that the guy falling down the stairs was Mr. Bentley from the Jeffersons.
Totally can see that. Yes.
Right? But
Yes.
they're not completely wrong because Mr. Bentley is on Sesame Street. He's the mad painter.
Oh, he is the mad painter. You're
He's the mad
right.
painter.
Yes, he
from
is.
the Jeffersons. Yeah. Paul Benedict, I think is his name.
We'll always just see him coming up out of the water. Yeah. So coming in at number 3 was my most memorable animation. And that's the Ladybug's Picnic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The ladybugs came to the Ladybug's Picnic.
But there's really not much to say other than this is the classic and well-remembered animation with 12 little ladybugs gathering for a picnic. But I think it's the song that is what makes this so memorable, and the singer's voice. And it was sung by a folk singer named Jim Queskin. And it's not Kreskin, and I can't say my R's. It's actually Queskin. And I just loved it so much, and I still love it. No matter what tried to knock those little ladybugs down. They were falling on their faces, out of their little bags, a broken jump rope. They just made the best of it, didn't they? They were just silly little guys making the best of it. And then at the end, they chattered about the high price of furniture and rugs, as ladybugs do when they're around a bonfire, I would imagine. So memorable to me.
They talked about the high price of furniture and rugs and fire insurance for ladybugs. Ladybugs 12 at the Ladybug's Picnic.
Following closely on the heels of the Ladybug's Picnic is our number 2 spot. And that goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The pinball number count.
It's really good.
Tell.
And I rated this one super high. It was probably in my number 2 spot too. I can't not sing it. I sing it all the time. I still sing it. And on Instagram, Chris10 Sunshine 13, she said, when I was on the phone with my boss just a couple of days ago and he was counting something and he was doing it normally, I stopped him. I said, hey, you have to do it right. And I started singing the pinball song.
Oh, that's great.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here's another example of, And here's another example of our followers doing our research for us. This is Put a Nerd on It. I had to break that down because I was like, put a nerd on it? Put a nerd on it. She says, fun fact, all of the pinball song versions were performed by the Pointer Sisters.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I know. That was the Pointer Sisters. She says, bonus fun fact, for those who remember the animated numbered race cars, if you remember they pull up one by one to to the starting line.
Yes.
That had a woman singing the numbers. She says, that was Grace Slick.
No kidding.
And I checked it out. She's right.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That is
That is
amazing.
so amazing.
It is the most 70s thing on Sesame Street. And I think that's one reason that I respond to it so hard, because the graphics are psychedelic. The song is very funkadelic. It screams Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
I could sing in those, I could count like that every single day. Apparently there is a band called the Dead Hensons, and they covered a version of Pinball Number Count, and they perform it in their concerts. And then there's a 2005 episode of The Family Guy called The Father, the Son, and the Holy Fonz, which is kind of cute. And it features its own remake of the pinball cartoon with Stewie encased in inside a little plastic ball in place of the pinball. And Fox licensed the original audio so they could use it in the show.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
That's so cool.
How much did that cost?
No kidding.
There you are. You would not believe the morning I've had.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Carolyn has the esteemed honor of revealing what the most memorable Sesame Street sketch is amongst the Pop Culture Preservation Society.
I'm honored to have this privilege of announcing the #1 Sesame Street skit as voted on by our Instagram PCPS Society. The #1 Sesame Street skit is Little Girl Going to the Store. But that's not what it's called.
What is it called?
It's actually called I Can Remember. That is the actual title of what we often refer to as Little Girl Going to the Store.
I call it Stick a Butter.
Okay. Or we could call it Stick a Butter. And why do you call it that, Kristen? Can you recite for us?
Oh God, don't put me on the spot, because I just remember it's a container of milk, a loaf of bread, a stick of butter.
Yeah.
Container of milk,
That's
a
it.
loaf of bread, a stick of butter.
That's you did
do
it
it?
beautifully. Yes. So in the cartoon,
relationship with her.
Almost like she's a cold. I love her voice. She almost talks like this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and what the writers of that segment were trying to do was kind of show kids the importance of reciting something. If you recite something over and over again, you are more likely to remember it or to recall it. And as we know, that's all she says as she is going to the store to purchase
A container of
milk, a loaf of bread, a stick of butter.
But guess what happens? She gets there. She remembers the container of milk. She remembers the loaf of bread. But for a moment, she cannot remember the third thing. And she takes a minute, looks up in her brain, in her little thought bubble, stick of butter. It appears, and she remembers. Because she had said it so many times. So she recalls it. And it's that butter. I think it's that butter and the way she just...
Oh, to me, it's the animation. It's the way she walks.
And
yeah,
the arms
she
kind of
walks
with her hands like this.
Yeah, her arms kind of flail a little bit.
And
like,
can I say again, here is a little kid going to the store.
There is a store
close enough that she can walk to and buy that stuff for her mom. Like her mom trusts her to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I wanted that.
Yes. Well, interestingly, in my research for this episode, I came across a website called Let Grow. Okay. And the whole mission of this website, it's a current day website, to promote the notion that our kids can do these things by themselves. They actually have stats about crime and how crime was actually higher in the 70s when we're watching all of these things happen on Sesame Street. And they're saying this little girl, she's little. She's not even old enough to reach the counter at the store, but yet she's just proudly marching down the street. And they use that as an example of this is what Let Grow is all about. We want our kids to be able to do these things. And I just thought that was really interesting.
A loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter. A loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter.
That concludes our most Gen X countdown of all time of the most memorable skits, songs, and sketches from the most well-known children's television show of all time, as voted by members of the Sesame Street generation. Today's episode was brought to you by the letter T and the number 10 for top 10. Get it? That was the best I could do.
So clever.
And remember to stay tuned after the outro for a list of all the vote getters that didn't make it into the top 10. Get your pencils ready because you will get Whosker Dude and you will be running straight to YouTube. Thank you for listening today, and we will see you next time.
And if you would like to actually see some of these skits and segments that we've been talking about, we will be sharing the top 3 in our weekly reader this week. If you are not already subscribed to our weekly reader, you can do that on our website, and you can also sign up on our link in bio on Instagram. It's a great read, comes every Friday, full of fun facts and things that we want you guys to know about.
And did you know you can now see portions of our episodes on our YouTube channel? Yikes. But yes, you can. Just go to YouTube and search Pop Culture Preservation Society. And today's episode was funded by our supporters on Patreon. We like to thank our supporters by name because everyone who joins our team over on Patreon gets a shout out on this podcast because they are what makes all of this happen. It keeps us trucking, and we love them for it. And today we'd like to give a big thank you to Kelly, Christy, Julie, Kristen, Megan, Linda, and Melanie. And if you like what you hear, thank you so much for taking a moment to leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcast and rate on all platforms.
In the meantime, let's raise our glasses for a toast courtesy of the Cast of Three's company. 2 good times.
2 happy days.
To Little House on the Prairie. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Okay, here's our list of all of the vote getters from our Instagram followers.
I'm excited.
The Pop Culture Preservation Society. They are our society. Here we go. The King of 8, who loved the number 8. The King of 8, something, he had 8 daughters. 8 is great. The Llama at the Dentist. When Grover sings with Madeline Kahn, that was really cute. The orange that rolls out of the fruit basket gets eyes, a nose, mouth, eyelashes, hair, and earrings from items on the counter and proceeds to sing from Carmen.
Yes.
And then I remember that. I know. This person says, for most of us, and in typical Sesame Street form, it was probably our first exposure to opera. Yeah, that is probably true. The Count. The Count. Anytime he would laugh and there would be lightning flashing, my brother and I would always go, "Oh, 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingy." Wanda the Witch lived somewhere west of Washington. Around her waist, she wore a worm. I loved Wanda the Witch. Oh, God. When Bert and Ernie go fishing, do you remember how Ernie catches fish?
No.
He goes, "Here, fishy, fishy, fishy." And they jump into the boat. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza.
Yes.
Bert and Ernie in the Egyptian pyramid, Bob singing the days of the week, the song Letter B, sung by the Beatles, Beetles. Lefty the salesman sells Ernie an 8. I think that's the one I was referring to.
Yeah.
Sing a song with Bob, which, like we said, is a hit for the Carpenters. Buffy St. Marie singing. I don't think I knew that was her, but I'm sure we enjoyed her. Cookie Monster singing Windy by the Associations, one of my earliest childhood memories, says this person. Who's walking down the streets of the city?
Who's walking down the streets? Everybody she meets.
But you know what? I don't think it's Cookie Monster. I think it's just a blue monster.
Oh.
We'll see.
Hurt my
Teeny
throat.
Little Super Guy. Monsterpiece Theater with Alistair Cookie.
Oh, yes.
The Marmoset. A skit called I'm a Baby. And this person says, this sticks out in my mind because my cousins and I recreated the whole thing in our second floor hallway. Oh, Michelle, I think this is what you were talking about. These 3 different sized little rubber balls making little sounds while rolling around and trying to roll into the correct sized hole.
No, I don't think it's
that different?
It's this. I'll show you just so you guys can hear it really quick. I pulled it up and I just wanted to show it to you real quick. Let's see.
Kick the party off.
Whoops.
It's like circus music. Oh, yeah, this is different. Oh, I think in the episode, I was thinking more about this one with the little holes. But this is cool.
It's like a little roller coaster track almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it'll go and hit all the different little numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have Ernie and the Boogie Woogie Bugle Sheep. I'd like to visit the moon, the little girl swimming like her frogs, the little Inuit girl showing how she gets dressed for the extreme cold. I did love that one. The Daddy Dear song for the letter D. I'm an aardvark and I'm proud. Anything with Don music. I have to look that one up. When Ernie cuts Bert's hair, Bert's paperclip collection.
Mm-hmm.
When Ernie sketches Bert's face and Ernie says 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 noses. The up and down song.
Sorry, but can you guys see that on the screen? It was so cool. The technology was so cool.
Yes.
He was tracing his face, and then when Bert moves his head, it was still there. That was unbelievable to me.
The up and down song with Cookie Monster. Martha. The Born to Add Springsteen sketch. When Snuffy was still invisible. Oscar the Grouch when he met Slimy. Oh, James Taylor singing Jellyman Kelly. Here's a song about Jellyman Kelly. Da-da-da-da-da. And then here's another one of those live action videos. Beat, beat, sugar beet. Beat, beat, sugar beet. Beat, 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 sugar beet.
I don't know that one.
It was about sugar beets.
Oh, of course.
The letter H in the Steel Foundry. Ernie and the Tweedlebugs with their milk carton house and matchbox car with the button wheels in his window box. That was super cute. 10 turtles. J. Joe Jeans and his jelly beans. Hey, let's sing a song about Jay. Oscar's I Love Trash. One of these things is not like the other.
Yes.
The lowercase n and we all live in a capital I. This person says those songs were my favorites. Those songs were really good. And it was true 1970s pop music. Like these were not children's songs. This was actual like pop music. No wonder we love these. Kermit singing, It's Not Easy Being Green. This person says it can still make me cry. Everyone Eats is another one I loved. Above, Below It All. Would that be Grover, I wonder? Kermit with a little girl saying the ABCs and she keeps throwing in Cookie Monster. Fat Cat Sat on the Mat song. Bert doing the pigeon in his little saddle shoe dance. That's what
I was hoping that one was going to be in there because that's so you would see his actual feet. And then, but you would just see from his like knees down. Of course, you couldn't see. It was so cute.
So funny. Geefel and Gonk cooperation skit. Grover is the waiter delivering cream of mosquito soup. Country Mouse, City Mouse. Ernie and Bert trying to go to the beach and Bert has purple hands. The Octopus's Garden. Sesame Street brought us a lot of popular music, like actual popular music. We talked about Windy before. They did Up, Up and Away, The Fifth Dimension, right? And then Octopus's Garden is the Beatles. Bruce Springsteen, we talked about that one. I also loved Guy Smiley in the sketch All, Some, and None. It resonates with me now as I try to manage all of my tasks, coworkers, family, etc. I did love Guy Smiley. Also, the cowboy... Yeah, right.
I always do it. Good. Well, Brian and I do it all the time. We're like, hi, I'm Guy Smiley. Because the front of his head, it was on a hinge. And the front of it would go back, ha.
Also, the cowboy in the saloon asking, I want to know why. And everyone wondering, why what? But he wanted to know how to draw the letter Y. So good. I think there was also a Cowboy X. I'm pretty sure there was Cowboy X. Grover is a conductor on a train trying to get through a snowstorm. And then JKSA says, 5 people in my family. I loved that one and personally held it against my baby sister for messing it up and making it 6 people in my family. She ruined it. Shauna has a lot of favorites. This is good. I'm just going to read this for you. My favorites that still crack me up are Cookie Monster at the library. He continued to ask for cookies, even though the librarian told him they don't have cookies, just books. They went round and around several times before Cookie finally got it and asked for a book about cookies. And a glass of milk, please.
I remember that.
The information, opinions, and comments expressed on the Pop Culture Preservation Society podcast belong solely to Carolyn, the Crushologist, and Hello Newman, and are in no way representative of our employers or affiliates. And though we truly believe we are always right, there is always a first time. The PCPS is written, produced, and recorded in Minneapolis, Minnesota, home of the fictional WJM Studios and our beloved Mary Richards. Nanu Nanu, keep on trucking, and may the force be with you.
Love and it will keep moving on. Something always happens whenever we